Since he learned of her poverty, James has stopped visiting Elizabeth, who still believes he loves her. Oliver, however, continues to court Dido, even as she begins to secretly visit Mr. Davinia to help him with his cause. Eventually, Oliver proposes to Dido, who is taken aback but agrees. Elizabeth, though, is crestfallen that Dido, who with her fortune did not even need to marry, has secured a husband and Elizabeth has not. Still, the girls remain friends. After her engagement, Dido sees Mr. Davinia again to tell him, and talks about how she realizes she has been doubly blessed with freedom, as a black person in a slave nation, and as a woman with the income not to need a husband. However, she says she would still like to have a marriage of equals, where she and her husband can be partners. Dido decides to sneak into her uncle's office to see if she can find any evidence for Davinia. What she discovers, and shows him, is a map of the zone's route that her uncle has marked with all the places they failed to replenish their water supply. This proves that the slavers were negligent, and that they knew their diseased slaves would be worth more dead and insured than sold on the market. She talks about how little she knows of her mother, except for the color of her skin. Davinia responds, "You also know she was beautiful," a very different response from Oliver's talking about overlooking her heritage. Later, at a garden party, James Ashcroft corners Dido, and tells her he will never accept her as his sister-in-law. He reveals how little he cares for Elizabeth, and shows his disdain by grabbing Dido's arm and shoving his hand under her dress. She is sickened by him. Later, when she tries to tell Elizabeth about it, her cousin refuses to believe her, and they fight for the first time. Lord Mansfield has also discovered that Dido has been visiting Davinia, and he confronts the two of them. Davinia expresses his love for Dido, but Mansfield said that, as a poor curate's son, he could never marry her. Dido is furious and disappointed with her uncle, both for his treatment of Davinia and the possibility that he will rule for the slavers in the case. She softens a little, though, when he shows her the finished portrait he commissioned. She and Elizabeth have been painted side by side, as equals. We do see Lord Mansfield talking to a colleague about the case. His problem seems to be that, while he knows the slavers are in the wrong and that slavery is morally wrong, he worries that his ruling against them, as the highest judge in the country, might cripple the nation's economy.